Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my Author's Answer video for March 2025. The Author's Answer series was brought to AuthorTube by J.D. Archer. He and his writing group used to meet on his blog and answer a variety of reading and writing related questions. And then J.D. brought a number of those questions over to his own AuthorTube channel where I found them. But anyway, I will link to all of that information down below. I myself have been partaking in this for several years now, answering each question sequentially in order, one per month, and I have my own AuthorTube playlist to link down below. For the last few months, we actually were doing these writing prompt exercises, which were fun and even a little challenging. But now we're back to more standard Q&A with question number 96. And question number 96 is, what modern novel do you think should be included in a high school English class? And automatically I feel a little bit of resistance to this question. Just thinking about the state of education in the US right now, the high number of book bans, the gutting of the Department of Education. So much of what's in place seems to be about feeding one specific agenda rather than being more broad-minded and leaning into, critical thinking skills. But now, basically, I've taken what's supposed to be a really fun question and run in a different direction with it. But I also generally, I guess in a more fun way, still have difficulty with this question, just trying to think myself. I guess if it's only one book, it's like a very specific, narrow thing you want to teach about literature and theory. I think of myself and some of the books I read that stuck with me in my own English classes that have to do with foreshadowing and symbolism and teaching things like that, which would be maybe like The Great Gatsby and A Separate Peace, if that's the direction we want to go in. But frankly, even though I myself was an English major, I feel like I'm less invested in trying to teach literature as theory, and I'm more interested in literature as storytelling, which maybe I guess that aligns with how I read today. But I also feel like, I do want students to have a chance to think critically about events happening in the real world, and the beauty of fiction is that it offers like a character with interiority to get such a human perspective that you really can't get as easily in nonfiction, in history and science, which of course are also important to know, but we're talking about literature here. So after all of that, I'm just going to go with something I know would probably never get on a list, or at least not have a lot of broad support, especially given who the author is and her own narrow opinions in certain areas. But I really think of The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling as a really modern, just like written like 10 or so years ago book. But it just, it shows in that book, what happened is that there's a city council in the UK in a small town, and there's a progressive member who has a horrible accident actually and dies, and then the casual vacancy is this seat to fill. And then there is all of this sort of political machinations about filling the seat, and a bunch of the conservatives are banding together to try to fill it with one of their own people, particularly because they're trying to advance this one vote to bring like a spa or something like that into town. And to do that, they would have to demolish a methane clinic. And that, of course, helps a lot of the population of the town who are less sightly, that they have, drug addiction problems and that sort of thing. But these people are still humans with their own needs. But, the people who don't have that particular experience kind of want to sweep that under the rug and not think about these particular people on the wrong side of town. But she goes into multiple perspectives, and I just think it's a really interesting civics lesson about, these different types of people in a political situation and their agendas. And also it goes into everything from middle-aged people to school children, and it's such a interesting, intriguing novel right after Potter novels for this author, and it's a shame, really, when I think about how narrow-minded she is with so many transgender issues, because I feel like she would have the capacity to write so deeply or complexly about the issues they would face in society if only I don't know, she were expanded her own worldview a bit, frankly. But anyway, I guess this answer's gone off in way too many directions, but that's going to be the answer I give. Honestly speaking, when I think of sort of mandatory media for that age group, what comes to mind to me most, what I really have been thinking about for decades, is a movie I watched right before I was going to go into middle school. It's called Angus, and in fact it is based off of a short story, although I feel like the movie is actually stronger than the short story, but it is about a boy in high school. He is overweight and bullied for being overweight. Basically, his football career in high school kind of saves him. He's also a bit of a science nerd. And it's about him deciding if he's going to go to a magnet school to get away from these bullies who've been horrible to him his whole life. And then as that's happening, as a cruel joke, he is submitted as the prom king to rule over prom with this other girl he's had a crush on forever, who is the girlfriend of the jock who is the most cruel to him. But ultimately, the issues at play are about teenagers grappling with the idea of accepting themselves for who they are, and realizing that there is no normal that you have to adhere to, that everyone's a little bit different and that's okay. And I just feel like that's such an important message, especially going into middle school, that there really is no normal. And that was a wonderful thing for me to fall back on as middle school continued to be very hard for me, but that bolstered me up a little bit. So anyway, that about covers it for me now. I'll link to these books and to Angus the movie down below, especially this one clip I go back to all the time, I guess, about the idea of being yourself. And I should be back on this channel hopefully pretty soon with my first official Am reading update of March, so stay tuned for that. I hope you're all having a great time reading and writing, hopefully as widely as you can, and thinking as deeply as you can about it, unless of course it's a day for some fun escapist stuff in the media world. So have fun with that as well. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Keep writing, and I'll see you next time.